o'clock straight up on a Thursday once again. Like I say, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Thursdays seem to happen every week. But the comedy show that opened before I started is actually active in the chat room. Now let's see how our streaming does. Drop frames 240. See how our streaming, there's audio. Drop frames 240. How are we going to do today? Is this going to work or not? Yes, indeed. I see buffering. 360 drop frames, 420. My speed test showed good. 19 megabits per second upload. Speed test again. I think this is not going to work. Drop frames 420. And there's upload speed not doing as well. Upload speed struggling in chat. And then drop frames 480. Jitterwood, no worries. I will fill you in if you crash. There's buffering. Serious pixelation at start. I saw that too. I see that we're in joking mood. We'll see what the day will be later. Everyone tell all the Dougs good morning, LOL. Well, the jokes were at the top. Doing good now, Robert says. 480 drop frames at the moment. So I'll put in another 480 to show at this point we're at 480. Maybe we're okay. I'll check and see audio. Says 480. Audio working. Drop frame still 480. Why is it so lopsided? They can't spare you at least 50 up? No, I don't. The best I typically get around 20 to 25 upload speed. So 16 is low and it struggled to get up to that. That's just what they have for me. We get 600 to 700 download speed, and it's a 1 gigabit service. I don't care about eking out the rest of the download speed. All I really care about is the upload speed, because the download is plenty good enough. Looks like we're getting 17.1 upload. I guess it's still working. So these jokes that opened the show this morning, Chris Garrett came in first. He says, a few days ago you talked about Windows ARM. What about Windows leg? Well, it might not be the same thing, might not be what you meant, Chris, but we did talk about building a computer with Legos. Does that count as leg? Dennis, this is not a joke. The SSD that he moves around from one computer to another threw an error when he put it back in the other PC. He moves them back and forth between his two computers. I ran a check disk on it. The MFT was corrupted. Guess I'll stop moving it. Now, I don't know why he moves the SSD from one computer to another, because both of the computers run Fortnite. Don't know. Nick says, hope you don't lose the connection. Here we go, Nick. My son was chewing on a power cable, so I had to ground him. He's doing better currently and conducting himself properly. So I get 3 puns out of that. And Nick says, Dad, what did Mount Rushmore look like before it was carved? Well, sweetie, its natural beauty was absolutely unprecedented. All right. And then Chris to Nick, at least its power cables. Hope they're unplugged. I used to strip wires with my teeth. I would make TV antennas and FM antennas out of any kind of wire I found. Hellos to everybody saying hello here. Temperature reports, different parts of the country. Pixelation at the beginning. I think we're on now. Fortunately, I don't have any big issue or topic to talk about today. I had to recover data off of failed Kingston 120 gigabyte SATA SSD. Okay. Well, now yesterday, to fill you in a little bit, when I saw pixelation on my monitoring monitor before I noticed you talking about it in chat, and I noticed pretty quickly it wasn't going well. So I looked over to XSplit to see what it was telling me about dropped frames, and I didn't see any dropped frames. But wait a minute, this doesn't look right. This doesn't look normal. Now, it wasn't until after I was out of communication to you that I realized XSplit wasn't even sending data out. It was as if I had clicked on the stop stream button in XSplit. There is a stop stream button on the upper right corner of my Stream Deck. So did I hit that by accident? I don't know. All right, so what I didn't get to yesterday are the only things that I have left over to respond to, and they weren't any significant technical topics, but this one in particular from Catherine Anna Hauserman, a chat comment that she made that I either didn't catch during the stream, or maybe it was after I ended the stream. I'm not sure. I think it was, I just missed it during the stream. She said, if I have, and it was from February 7th, so a couple days ago. She says, if I have a PC from someone else, I do not want to go into their email. And that was in response to me talking about going into my client's email. So I will clarify that I don't go into my client's email unless I have their standing permission for that, which typically for my business clients, I do have their standing permission to go into their email, because in a business environment, office environment, individuals' emails are not considered private, at least in among the clients that I have. I mean, they know each other's passwords. Some of my clients' offices are tightening up security there, because that's not a good thing. Although, for the most part, actually, more specifically, my clients don't know their own email passwords. They know their passwords for signing into their computer. They routinely walk away from their computer. Anyone could walk up to their computer and see their emails. But for a personal email account, I always ask them first. So thank you for Catherine bringing that subject up, because I don't want to mislead anyone to thinking that I just poke around in people's emails. And even the emails that I have standing authorization, I don't go poking around anywhere except that what is relevant to the subject that I'm pursuing. Then from Greg, he says he uses raindrop.io to save my bookmarks online, accessible from multiple devices. Well, I have bookmarks online accessible from all of my devices because I use Google accounts and I use Microsoft accounts. And as I've expressed before, I'm reluctant to add any other softwares. Now, so this raindrop.io, you are entrusting your bookmarks to them. So you're opening yourself up to them. Do you trust them as well as I trust Google and Microsoft? Some people would say I'm foolish for trusting Google and Microsoft, but I'm very hard pressed to imagine that there are employees at those companies who will take time to go poke around in my stuff. I mean, come on, they are on quotas. They have to meet production. They have to do their jobs. To go poking around in somebody's account stuff, I just don't see it. Now, the place where your valid concern perhaps is how they share that with other parties for advertising, or even within their own systems for advertising. But I get along with it. It serves a very valuable purpose to me, so I allow it for myself. Now, what else did I have to get to? Those were, I don't have any emails to get to. I don't have any, oh, I do have comments on the channel to get to. Then I'll come back to chat. I was working on these when I got so rudely interrupted yesterday by my crashed stream. Pineapple Road was the next comment I don't think I got to. Pineapple Road said a family member was having trouble with Kaspersky throwing a hissy fit with the family history. Now, I had to read that twice to be sure that it was Kaspersky throwing the hissy fit, not the family member. With the family history website they often use, unfortunately, I haven't managed to persuade them to uninstall Kaspersky and to just use Windows Defender, so I ended up having to disable certain aspects of the protection to ensure the site works, which seems to have become a permanent configuration. The only thing I would add to that is I'm not sure what you disabled about Kaspersky, but you should be able to just give authorization to that website rather than turning off a Kaspersky security function that is still applying to other websites. So if you did actually turn off a functionality that's opening up other websites. Maybe you want to go back and look at that and see how you can authorize just that family history website. Pineapple Road has been around for a long time. I'm guessing that he or she is probably on the ball about that. I don't know. Boone says, thank you for taking time to answer. I didn't know it depended upon starting file size. That's when we were talking about the Paint program and making it larger. And so, yeah, I mentioned the file types, the graphics file types that are significant as far as how well it will enlarge. And then there's also the size of the file itself, how much content there is there. Ken Stout says, I love the abrupt ending. That's from yesterday's show. I must use that sometime. On a related note about that document, I was able to mess with it in DaVinci and got it much larger and was easier to read. No magnifying glass needed. Took way longer than I thought, but hey, now that we know it's not only a video editing program, but it has other applications. So that was also that graphics image that I was working with in Paint for Josh's aunt Mary. That's what we were doing on that surprise live stream on Sunday. Then Chris Garrett, I meant that I used McAfee removal tool to remove McAfee. McAfee was pre-installed from Dell as a 30-day trial, Dell XPS 8930. Yeah, that sounds absolutely fine with me. I think you'd be fine just using the removal tool for removing that. And that's when I was talking about, I think that was yesterday, before I got so rudely interrupted, where I was talking about McAfee's instructions were to use the Windows uninstall feature before doing the removal tool. So thank you for responding to that. Now let's go see what we got in chat. There's the SSD comment from Dennis. In my opinion, your upload speed should be at least 25% of your download speed. Well, the service that I'm on, they've told me what my upload speed is expected, and I want to say they actually might have said 10 or 20 megabits upload. That's just the way it is here. Seldom Ball to Dennis, would it be usable if it were connected to USB? There are USB switches available so devices can be shared between computers. Yeah, I don't know what Dennis's purpose was with that SSD and whether he's connecting it internally. I doubt that he's booting the different computers on it. Jim says he's going to stick with his 100 down, 100 up. Yeah, that would be good. I'd sure like to have that. I'm in and I mentioned this before, somebody misunderstood it. I am in a city island that's in the county. We're surrounded on all four sides by county property, but it is a city community. Now, little story, this community was developed because it was going to be across the street from Running Horse Golf Course, which is going to be a 4-star, 5-star, whatever they are called, golf course. And the developer wound up going to jail, and there was all kinds of troubles, and Donald Trump sent his daughter out here to look at the place. They were thinking about buying it and taking it over. Anyway, it's orchards now. So this community here that was built for that purpose, these homes in here were going for $400,000. When that fell through the floor, and then there were water delivery problems, this neighborhood was a distressed community. I bought it when there was a distressed real estate market in 2009, and this house was a repo, so it was a distressed property. I got a pretty good buy on it. Rand Israel, it's typically worse here. The down up for fiber is usually 1 to 10, and for DSL cable, much worse. DSL, that's rare. Ken Stout, did you get the link to the 1Password for Josh Kinder? The link for 1Password? No, I don't think I know what you're talking about. Did I get the link for 1Password? I don't know what you're talking about there. Spectrum cable, 3 down and 10 up. Black Serendipity, if everyone in an office knew each other's passwords, then why not make all passwords the same? Makes no sense to me. I suppose that's a defendable position, but we don't. And I need to get them up client by client. We're going to have to be tightening up passwords just because that's the way the industry's going. But interesting. Now some of them, their local Windows passwords are based on a sequence where it's easy to, a pattern where it's easy to guess what somebody else's password is. Yeah, that was just never a thing I even pursued, making them all the same. SSD is connected to a USB cable from Dennis. So he got an error message when he moved it from one computer to another. Did you properly eject? Now we're told by some people that you don't have to properly eject a USB device anymore. I still do it. The option is still there. The feature is still there, so I do it. Could that have been, could you be testifying that, yeah, it does sometimes have a problem? I think it was the MFT, my master file table, file allocation table, something like that. Somebody's going to correct me on the MFT acronym if I'm wrong about that. Is that what he said? I think that's what he said. It's up here near the top. And there is no redirect to Ken Stout's show today because there is no Ken Stout show showing, as far as I can see. That SSD through an error. The MFT was corrupted. Master file table, I think it is. Do I still have something highlighted down here? Here we go. That's where I left off. Nick, from Nick. We use SSO at my job with dual authentication. So all my staff has to do is remember their Windows login. We use Google Authenticator. Yeah, now the client that I've talked about now and then where we do have higher security implemented, we do have two-factor authentication and they do sign in with a Microsoft account. But because of that, they actually use PIN numbers to sign. Well, not all of them, now that I think about it. Some of them are actually typing in their Microsoft password when they sign in and they don't know each other's passwords as a matter of standards, whether they have told each other passwords or not. When we start doing the security training every year with them, it's going to be clear that no, you cannot share your passwords. And the scare tactic for them is we're going to tell them if something happens, if something adverse happens, and you haven't kept your password private, then you're on the suspect list. Or that relationship with that other staff member is on the suspect list. So as an employee working at a company that has these policies in place, I should be frightened to know somebody else's password. I do not want to know somebody else's password because if anybody knows that I know someone else's passwords and then something goes wrong, I could be on the hook for that. So it will give people motivation to not know other people's passwords. And in this office, there's no need for them to know each other's passwords. They don't have to go to each other's computers to find any shared content. And they will be having private content from each other. Zeldin, I've had USB connectors go bad with constant unplugging. USB switches avoid physical reconnections. Okay, so he's liking using USB hubs. USB switches, that's a fair word, to avoid physical connections so that they're not plugged directly into the computer. Guess? Dennis says, yeah, Panama retailer was selling HP all-in-ones with McAfee installed, but the application was indicating it expired on their demo models. I've seen that. Josh, Ken, I did not send it to him, just you. Oh, that's regarding that 1Password. I don't need your 1Password credentials. Ken, he just said only I got it, LOL. I think OEMs quit pre-installing Norton. My old HP from 2009 that dies came with Norton installed. So the HP from 2009 is the computer Chris has that dies. It came with Norton installed. I wouldn't be surprised to see on some occasions a computer from a particular OEM might come with Norton or McAfee pre-installed, and on another occasion from the same provider, it might not be installed. What their scenario is as to when they include it, I don't think we're privy to that, and it might be an agreement between the companies involved as to how many computers they send it out on. I don't know, or which models they send it out on. Martin Hogg says, Doug and chat, what is the best way to remove an original profile and create a new profile on a Windows 10 PC? Would the new clean profile retain the system setting for the touchscreen facility? Well, touchscreen feature, that should be consistent across all of the profiles. Would the new clean profile retain the system setting? If you had a touchscreen setting that was user specific, then the new profile is probably not going to have that, because when you create a new user account on Windows 10, I don't know of any way that you can base it on the old user profile unless you actually change the name of the current profile, and that's not going to be a very clean way to do it. So Windows key and then users, add, edit, remove the users. I have done this on a number of occasions. So I'll create a new user by adding someone else to this PC. So click on that guy right there. It's going to look for, want you to do it with a Microsoft account. You can click, I don't have this person's sign-in information, and then click on add a user without a Microsoft account. So now you're doing a local account if that's what you want to do. Once you've created that account, then you need to elevate its privileges to admin if they need that. So you would come, they would show up in this list. You click on that and change the account type to make them an administrator if you indeed want that. And then from this list, you could delete the account by clicking this remove button right here. You'll have a prompt asking if you want to delete their account and the data. And deleting this person will remove all their data, including items. Oh, this doesn't let you delete the account without removing the data. I thought it used to do that. Okay, but then also I find sometimes the profile is still existing. If you go into the C drive users folder, you may find that the profile is still showing up here, and you could delete it from there. So yes, you can do that. If the computer was originally configured with a Microsoft account, then there might be the extra complication that the Microsoft account still has the computer listed with that, or connected to that account. So you may be needing to go into that Microsoft account and delete the computer from that Microsoft account. So those are just some things that I've discussed off the top of my head in response to that. Best way to remove an original profile and create a new profile on a Windows 10 PC, hasn't stated whether they are Microsoft accounts or not. Would the new clean profile retain the system setting for the touchscreen? It's not going to remember the settings from the original profile, so you would have to configure how you want the touchscreen to operate. Now, this is all what I think. Some people might be countering my opinion, so please read the chat messages after this point in the video. Chris is not going to kill my drive. Oh, he says, I always eject flash drives and external drives just out of precaution, as do I. John Williams, 564 download and 23 upload from Spectrum. Wow, that is seriously so. How do you do anything with 564 bytes download? Yeah, I'm sure he means 564 megabits per second, 23 megabits per second upload. But if he means 564 bits download and 23 bits upload, yikes, that's seriously bad. You could do it. They could do better with a dial-up modem, because they were 64,000 bits download. Last phone modems I think we had. Dennis says, yes, I properly ejected it, but Windows probably lied to me. I will turn off the machines before I move the SSD again. Now, I have a client's office where I go to their office to swap out the external backup drives, and one of their servers, we have two servers there, one of them occasionally, well, more often than not, it fails to properly eject. So I have to just turn it off, and I get a nasty, ugly message on screen complaining about that. But it always functions okay. So, and I found and utilized. In fact, somebody here on this channel told me about a utility that would force eject it, and I used that. There's a trial period for it, and then there's a paid version for it. And some reason I decided I'm not worried about it to that level because it's never caused a consequence. So I'm living with it. But besides, during that time period, we were planning to replace the server.
Here's what I found.
Oh, hush up. How did Siri come up with that? Siri came up with answering the question about ejecting a drive properly. That's what she gave me there on my watch. I never did the trigger word for her. She triggered anyway. Moving on, Rand to Martin. From another account or live media, delete the old profile. From another account or live media, well, yeah, delete the old profile folder, log on using the desired account, a fresh profile will be created. Yeah, well, I would do it, I think, yeah, before deleting the old profile, I want to create the new profile. So I'll create the new profile, make it an admin level if that's what you need for it. Then sign into that new account. That's the step I left out there. Thank you, Rand. Log into that new account so that it creates the profile. Then go back and delete the old profile. But I don't think it's going to inherit the touchscreen settings from the first profile, because as far as I can tell, when you create a new profile, it never inherits the settings of the old profile. Now, you might be able to do something like Fab's Auto Backup. That might work, where you do a Fab's Auto Backup of the original profile and then restore it to the new profile, because with Fab's Auto Backup Pro, the paid version, I don't think you can do this with the free version, you can restore from a different profile to a newly created profile, or just a different profile. So that should copy over all settings. Of course, not tested. Then from Danielle Emberly, I find I still often have to wait or try again when trying to safely eject a USB memory stick or drive. Chris, Forrest Gump's password is run, Forrest, run. Well, he needs some numbers and a symbol with that. And capital letters. So, oh, there you go. Ken's correcting it. One, Forrest, run. But there's no capital letters there. You haven't met everything yet. Seldom Ball, I mean USB switches where it's perform disconnect, reconnect, not USB hubs. Oh, okay. Yeah, so USB switches, it'll actually have a button to disconnect well, it powered down. The switch performs a disconnect, reconnect. Do you have to do any command for that? I've never used a USB switch. But yeah, I recollect now having seen those. Gary, McAfee was always weird, and so is his software. Yeah, go get a life story of Peter McAfee, right? Yeah, he was an oddball person. Dennis, I'm using this with SSD. What's he got here? Maybe going to go a little over time today. Oh, you're using this. Same one I got right here. Or at least it looks the same. Oh yeah, it says it is the same because it says I last purchased it July 16th, 2019. That's my purchase information, not Dennis's. Wintermute, make a new user an admin before deleting the old account if there's only one admin account. Yes. If the new account does not need to be an admin and you have another admin account, of course you don't need to bother with that. I mean something like this. So here is that USB switch. USB 3.0 switch. There's a button there. Looks like that button might be to switch between the devices. And it goes to an output. So it's output. So in Dennis's scenario, he wants to use this SSD for two different computers. This switch would not do that. This switch looks like it would be, well, now wait a minute. Could you connect could you connect this side up here to the two different computers and connect the output side to the drive? Or maybe that's what they intend. This is showing, now that's showing going, oh yeah, that's an all-in-one and a laptop connected on the input side, and the output side is connected to the drive. So that would give Dennis a really easy way to switch that SSD between two computers. It's a $22 item. And it looks like it's intended to only go that direction. Here we see the input side has the computers, the output side has the drive. So you could not connect it the other way, and why would you ever want to? This is not an alternative to a hub. A hub is connecting to one computer, multiple USB devices. That's not what this device is at all. This is connecting two different computers to a single device. Yes. Dennis sounds like he was using a USB hub on each of the computers. I think it did. I'm not sure. Did he tell us that or not? I don't know. Gary to Dennis, why not try using a 3.0 SATA hard drive enclosure? Santa Claus says, have a wonderful day. Welcome aboard, Santa Claus. Zvi Minor says, I have a computer in a server room at one of the clients that does an automatic backup files from NAS servers. If it has a login password, the backup will not be performed. All right, let me reread that. I have a computer in a server room. This is not a server. He has a computer in a server room. It is not a server at one of his clients that does an automatic backup of files from NAS servers. If it has a login password, meaning the computer that's performing the backup, because certainly the NAS has a password, the backup will not be performed. Is the software running on the NAS machine or the computer that's doing the backup? See, there's some pieces there not clear to me. If the backup software and the backup drive is connected to this non-server computer, it should be able to connect to the NAS with a password. So if, yeah, there's too many unanswered, unclears there. But I have backup software that allows me to enter the password for the computer I'm connecting to. I also have a scenario where I have a computer that it's actually a file server that has access to one of the workstations. We want to back up certain files from that workstation to the external drives connected to the server. So the server has a mapped drive letter to that user's drive, and it has that password remembered for that user's computer, and then it's able to do the backup. Zvi says, so I use software that locks the screen after the system boots. Okay, so that the screen, okay. Oh, I think I'm understanding there. So if the computer that's performing the backup restarts, the power goes out maybe, it restarts, and nobody logs in at that computer, then the backup's not going to run because the backup software needs the Windows desktop in order for it to do its job. And I have a backup software that's like that I use, Handy Backup, that when I install it, it'll come to a place where I can choose an option to install it as a service. If I install it as a service, then it will run the backup jobs without the computer being logged in. So I think I understand where you're at there. So I use software that locks the screen after the system boot. Now another technique that I've used is there's a command, a configuration in Windows Registry, and I think I've even tested this with Windows 11, and it still works, where I can enter the username and password into the registry and get it to automatically log in with a user account, and here are those instructions. And I first learned about this in Windows XP, and it has worked with every edition since then. So there's a registry key at this location. There's a key called, well, you have to create this key called default username and default password, and set this key to auto admin login, or log on. And then when you reboot that computer, it will automatically log in. I have some clients who just did not or would not tolerate having to enter a password, but I wouldn't tolerate them having a computer without any password at all because of the exposure that the computer had, or some other reason, and it must have been some other reason. So anyway, I have that configured still to this day for a few clients. So if they tell me, sometimes they have called me and say they can't log in, and I ask them, what's your login password for Windows? I don't have one, there is none. Yeah, I think there is one. And so that's where I recognize what's happened is they restarted their computer, it logged all the way into the desktop, and then somehow they chose to log off. So then when they log off, they're now at the lock screen where they have to enter the password. They don't even realize they had a password. Yes, I've told them, they don't remember. It's the way it is. Smart, college educated people, professionals, business owners, but no, they don't remember that there is a password for their account. So I just tell them restart their computer, because I know that's going to automatically log in, or I connect remotely to their computer and do that step for them. So Zavine uses a software that locks the screen after the system boots. So he wants it at the lock screen. I said that wrong, what he was doing. So he wants it at the lock screen. Yeah, Al Neo noticed that entity got triggered. I'm intentionally not saying that name. You almost tricked me into saying that name. Nick Poverman. How far behind am I? Not too bad. We are over time, but there's no show to send you off to. Nick missed the last 7 minutes. Had to take a call from a client. Randy Israel, no, it won't. All user settings will be reset to default. So that would be for the touch screen. Yeah, I agree. All user settings would go to default. Now I don't think he's responding to Fab's auto backup not being able to transfer the settings over. I suspect it would, but whether that will cover the touchscreen settings or not, that might not be. John Williams did confirm it was 564 megabits download, not 564 bits download speed. Dennis, for those curious, the SSD is a 1 terabyte Samsung 860 QVO. It's not that old. It ages at 94%, and that's the one that he reported that moving that device from one computer to another with properly ejecting. I think he said he was properly ejecting. The MFT got damaged. Yeah, master file table. John McAfee, Peter Norton. Oh, it's John McAfee and Peter Norton. So I said Peter McAfee, right. John McAfee is the one that's... No. Which one is it that's... Which one of these is weird? I don't remember which one is. I think both of them are a little bit oddball characters. I'm not sure. Nick says, I have 4 of those at my job. The SSD to the USB adapter. He has 4 of those. Dennis, April 6, 2019 for his USB to SSD cable. Martin Hogg, thanks. A bit more info. I have copied original user data to a flash drive just in case. PC is a one-piece touch screen which originally had Windows 7 and I've upgraded to Windows 10. New user has arthritis. Let's see, that's all that he has here for us. So that was in reference to, oh yeah, the original profile and the touch screen. Now, if the touch screen is set for default settings, then that should carry over just fine. The functionality of the touchscreen should carry over to new user because that touchscreen capability is built into the operating system or the drivers for that hardware. device. But if there's been any customizations of the touchscreen for the user that has arthritis in order to accommodate the arthritis easier, then that might have to be reset. Dennis, can you tell I'm getting tired? I'm talking slower. I have an NVMe drive and external enclosure on order, as I mentioned during Fortnite. And that's Dennis assuming that I remember everything that he says during Fortnite, because I don't remember that. What is your opinion on crucial NVMe drives? I am not hot and bothered about brand names. In any case, crucial, I'm fine with that. Some people around here probably have an opinion more specific than mine, but in my experience with my clients, I'm typically installing a SSD to replace a hard drive, and I'm not very specific about brands. I don't care about, and when I use a SanDisk, not SanDisk. Oh, come on, what's the one everybody around here likes so much? That has, is it still, oh yes, this one, Samsung. When I install a Samsung, I do not install that extra software that they have, because these are going at end users' computers. I do not want them having any pop-up prompts about these. To the best of my knowledge, these perform just fine without installing that extra piece of software that monitors the drive health. I don't need a piece of software monitoring an SSD. No, thank you. Not for my clients. I don't take any exception to you technical people around here that do that on your own computers. For an end user that doesn't understand anything about what's going on, no, I don't want that extra clutter. Santa Claus, how do I reset a Windows 10? Well, what exactly do you mean by reset a Windows 10? That could mean doing a fresh install. That could mean creating a new user account so you're back to the Windows 10 defaults as far as the user settings. That could mean doing a system restore to deal with a problem. Why are you asking the question? What are you trying to accomplish? St. Nick. Then he says here, how do I reset Windows 10 password? Does that mean you have forgotten the current password? Or are you trying to change the existing password? Let's see, do we have anything more here? So reset a Windows 10 password, is that because you've forgotten the password? And is it a Microsoft account that user account is set for? So Santa Claus is saying, if you don't know, create another admin account and change it in control panel. But it's possible he can't log into the computer at all. That might be why he's asking. We don't know enough about what is the status, what is the problem with the computer. What is the situation you're trying to solve? I forgot my current password, so he cannot get into it. Was it a Microsoft account? Because with a Microsoft account, that makes it easier. You can go in and do forgotten password procedure on another computer that you can get into. If it's a local account and you've forgotten your current password, then you're going to need to use a Windows 10 password reset tool. Now, some people in chat might be offering their favorite tool. I'll just do a Google search for it. Windows 10 password reset disk download. And it typically involves booting on a USB thumb drive that's been formatted to recover a Windows account. So let's see, that's support, create a password reset disk. Now that's only going to work before the fact. After you've forgotten the password, I don't think you can use this method. Is there a free tool to reset Windows password? OffCrack is a free password reset tool for Windows, Linux, and Mac. So that's a place to do it. And there's probably others here. Here's reset forgotten Windows password. Here's a Windows password recovery tool is the best tool. But doesn't that one have to be done before you've forgotten it? So I'm going to wait and let people chime up in chat because they may be more fresh on that knowledge. I can't log into my account. Also what Doug said, kind of tricky way to change the password. I know that's kind of advanced. It was a Microsoft account. Oh, well, that makes it easy. Santa Claus, it was a Microsoft account. Bada boom, bada bing. That makes it easy. Just go to office.com or any other Microsoft login, click sign in, put in your email address. Whoops, let me go do that in incognito mode so it doesn't automatically sign me in. So office.com, click sign in, put in your email address at whatever the domain name is. Obviously this is a phony name. And then next it'll ask for a password. Well, actually right here there's a link already. Can't access your account. I'm being asked if it's a work or school account because I have both. You'll probably not get this prompt. So you're probably dealing with a personal account. So then put in the email address and it's going to send you a link to your email account. Now hopefully you can get to your email account. If you can't, then if you have set up some other way to authenticate who you are, such as another email address or a TOTP, one of those codes, that would be a way to do it. So it was a Microsoft account. Yeah, so just, have you tried that? Forgot password. Well, it says can't access account is the name of the link there. So then let's go catch up. Nick to Santa Claus. Carrie Holzman has a video on how to do that, but was that with a Microsoft account? Because Carrie doesn't do a lot of stuff with Microsoft accounts, so it might not be. Zavi says, you got my point. And I don't remember what that was we were talking about. Software that locks the screen. Okay, so he says I did get to his point. John Williams, I can have 3 to 4 desktop computers connected to the network at the same time without slowing it down at all. So what was that? What was John talking about? Oh, the internet speed. Oh, sure. That would be fine for 3 or 4 computers. Now, if those 3 or 4 computers were all live streaming at the same time or downloading large files, you might start seeing issues. But at that 564 megabits per second download, oh no, that you're not going to. If you're doing really large file downloads, you'll be able to show that it's slowing down. And his upload was 23 upload. Yeah, I find that I can live stream just fine if I've got 10 megabits per second upload. I can scratch by with clamping down on some things at 6, 7 megabytes per second upload. But it never stays consistent. So ideally, I really want to be above 10, like to be at the 20 area. Nick to Santa Claus, this would be the password recovery. Oh, Carrie Holzman's video. No special software needed. Make Windows 10 fix itself. Does this tell us, let's see, there's no detail in there. And this one was from a few years ago. And what method is he using here? Reset this PC. Well, this would be if you can get logged in. This looks like you have to be at the desktop to do this. Oh, this is for resetting PC. This was not for the password. This was the question about reset PC, and we later discovered what he really means is recover a forgotten password. So that one's not going to do it. Wintermute, here's a YouTube video for what? Message from John McAfee, founder, yeah. How to uninstall McAfee antivirus is what he's telling here. His method is just to throw the computer over his shoulder. Is that actually what he's talking about here? I think here you get you get the idea that he's a little bit A little bit nutso maybe. That was Wintermute. Oh boy, I'm going way over time. Selden Ball, there are transparent screen lock programs which slow the computer but require a login to do any interactions with it. Transparent screen lock programs which show the desktop but require a login to do any interactions with it. Okay, that's interesting. So instead of locking your PC where it goes to the wallpaper, or whatever that background is, this would still let you see the desktop, you just can't interact with it. Bobby, do you have an iMac? I have an iMac upstairs. Early in my YouTube channel, you'll see it on the desk over here, but I don't use that computer anymore. Even then, its operating system was out of date because it wasn't capable of the current operating systems. How do I reset Windows password? Oh, I know. I read ahead for Santa Claus. Does Santa Claus tell us anything else? I reset my Microsoft password. My Microsoft is working. Thank you very much. Oh, we solved the problem. So during this live stream, problem solved. There you go. Feather in our collective cap. Although I did too. I was the one to bring that to the table. Yeah, this is Wintermute to Santa Claus about the password, so that is already solved. And there's Gary to Santa Claus, although he might have followed one of these links for doing that. Give your PC a fresh start. Yeah, this still looks like if you're able to log in. Fresh start lets you perform clean reinstallation. Yeah, this would be another answer to the question, how do you reset a Windows 10 PC? But this was not his question. His issue, his trouble wasn't his question. His issue was actually the password. But this would be giving your PC a fresh start on live too. Either with keeping your programs and data or without keeping your programs and data. Samsung, yes, that was the word I was trying to think of. Gary to Wintermute. John, my hero. Oh, yeah. Samsung Magician, yeah, that's a software. I think I've installed it once or twice and never really explored through it so much. Dennis recently told me about a required update for it, and I said, no, it's not required for me. I don't bother with it. Make sure, now, if I'm missing something there, if there's a reason why you think I ought to be using it on my clients' computers, non-technical people, then go ahead and make your case, and I'll reconsider it. But I try to put as little extra clutter on my clients' computers as I possibly can. And the Samsung drives work just fine without it. It's hard to imagine. In fact, as I understand, it is not that Samsung Magician. I don't think it's actually a driver that shows up in Device Manager, is it? Isn't it just a monitoring software that's running on top of Windows? I don't know. I know you guys around here know that better than I do. I'm getting tired. All right, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Greg's just saying good morning. And I'll read the rest of the chat messages after ending the live stream. But thanks for hanging out. And we got Santa Claus issue answered. So bravo, golf clap there. If you'd like to send a question to me, you can send it to that email address, or you can put it as a comment on any video. Whoops, I guess email address, then comment on any video. You can also put it into a chat room. And today, that's what Santa Claus did, and we got a solution for him. He already got the issue fixed during this live stream. That's cool. Is there anything else to say? I don't think so. Have a great day. I hope that was useful. Catch you later. Goodbye.